Hello, welcome to Todd's Pod. This episode, I have a good friend of mine in recovery. Her name is Stephy. She's a CA member. Come on in, Stephy. Hey, how are you?
Good, everyone.
Good. So, full disclosure, we started this a few minutes ago and it wasn't working, so here we are. So let's go back to the beginning.
Okay, so my journey really started when I was 3 years old. I had a kidney cancer, and I was told I was not. My family and I were told I was not going to live to my 6th birthday. It was so severe.
Yeah.
And I had chemo, I had radiation, I had surgery, and did eventually obviously beat it. I will be 40 in May.
Cool.
And so like I have doctors that are like, "You're still alive?" I'm like, "Yep, still kicking." Apparently God doesn't want me and the devil's afraid of me, so I'm not gonna die. but yeah, no, that kind of led to the treatments led to some later health issues, especially back pain, severe back pain for about 30 years. And I got stuck in the Oxycontin push and had a lot of Oxycontin pushed on me, and I got very addicted. And then, I had a time where I was in a domestic abuse situation, and I was actually being medicated. He was stealing my medicine and crushing it up and putting it in my food and my drink to sedate me so I wouldn't go home, so I wouldn't leave him, quote unquote.
Okay.
And I finally got out of that situation and I got into a facility, and I wasn't ready to admit I had a problem yet. I wasn't ready to see that I had a better purpose, a bigger purpose, and I was depressed. I was just not, I was sick and tired. I was very sick and tired. And that program that I went through, it was basically just me going, okay, get everybody off my back. Like, you get my family off my back, leave me alone. And it wasn't about finding a purpose. And it was just about, like, the purpose was to get everyone off my back. That was it. It wasn't to get better and be better. And I actually didn't stay sober for very long after I got out of there. And things got worse. And I moved to Virginia. And after I moved to Virginia, I continued to use for a little bit. But then my best friend, who lives up there, got me into a facility. Unfortunately, she is no longer with us. She passed away from brain cancer a few years ago. We were friends for like 18 years before she passed. So that was very, very hard for me to get through. Anyway, I did go to this facility, and I had been in the facility for a while. I was actually in the psych ward because I wouldn't admit I had a problem. Absolutely would not. Because I was like, how do I get out of here? And they're like, you have to go to the wellness floor, which the wellness floor was rehab. And I was like, no, absolutely not. So I was in there for 3 weeks. And then finally I was like, I need to get out of here. So I said, okay, fine. And then I was up there. I figured it was going to be the same thing as before. And I get up to the wellness floor. And about a week later, I was sitting there and I realized if I can't follow the directions on a pill bottle to save my life, it's a problem. It's no longer a prescription. And that was April 10th, 2013. And I have stayed sober since.
All right. So that's what, 12 years ago?
Almost.
Excellent. Perfect. So a little backstory. When I met Stephy, I guess she was probably 5 years sober, 4 years sober. And it was the beginning of my recovery journey. She chaired a CA meeting that she brought to an organization where I was in treatment. Her and a couple other people seemed very happy. And I gravitated toward people that I thought were happy because I didn't ever experience a whole lot of happiness, and I wanted happiness. And I wanted to see how they did it and how they had it. I thought there was some kind of secret club or something you had to be in. They were just happy, lucky, and free. And so that's where I met Stephy, and we've been friends throughout. She definitely had an impact on me, and I know she has an impact on many, many other people. Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that you went through a lot of medical stuff, and you've been through a lot of medical stuff. But in the process of this recovery, which is difficult enough as it is, and then you have all these medical things going on, there's a few other things that you've accomplished, isn't there?
Yeah. So when I met Todd, I was about 4 years sober. And at the time, however, I was homeless. And he says I was happy, and I really was. I was homeless and I was happy because I had found my purpose. And I was there for about 2 years. And then I received help and I was able to get my own place. And that led to me eventually getting my own car. And like a lot of people make fun of us because they're like, "Oh, I adulted today. I'm so proud of myself. You know, like I paid my bills.
I got a credit card.
Yeah, give me some gold stars, please.
Yes.
You know, love the gold stars."
Yeah.
But yeah, so like after I kind of got myself together, I actually, where we were, I met my current fiance. We've been together for 4 years now. We've been engaged for 2. And we have lived together for quite a bit of that, kind of since that blizzard happened.
He's kind of a guitar serenade guy.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes, he likes his music.
Yes, he's very good at it.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
But I was able to get on my feet essentially with assistance, and now I'm no longer on government assistance.
Okay.
I pay my own rent, I pay my car note, I pay bills just by, you know, the work that I do. And so I went back to school with Tyler's encouragement.
Okay.
My fiance, his name is Tyler. I went back to college. I took 11 classes in 1 year at SAC, which was kind of like scholarly suicide, but I did it. And I got my associates in humanities, and then I transferred to Texas A&M San Antonio, and I got my bachelor's almost a year ago in May.
Congratulations.
I am now a criminal justice bachelor holder.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting path.
Go figure, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I know how that works.
Yeah.
But and I've taken that degree and run with it, and I'm now a certified electronic reporter, which means I go and take the audio for depositions, legal proceedings, arbitrations, etc., and do a little bit of the notes, and then I send that to a transcriptionist, and they do the actual verbatim transcript, which I am training to do now as well.
Okay.
And I also am an Uber driver, so y'all might see me here in San Antonio. I actually love it because I love to drive, I love talking to people, and I love music. So I'm like out for 4 hours, and I'm like, oh, it's been that long. I could be in Houston by now.
Yeah.
But I love doing that, and then I take care of my fiance's grandfather, who's getting older and having memory issues, and need to make sure his med box is done for the week, and that he's reminded to take his meds, and like, so I'm essentially working 3 jobs right now. But the great thing about everything I'm doing is it's independent. I don't have a set 9 to 5 schedule.
Okay.
I prefer to be able to work when I want to work and say no when I don't want to work. Because I have a lot of doctor's appointments.
Right.
And so I can schedule around them. And then I can make time for my meetings, and it's not an issue at all. I have gone to CA for a while. I've pulled back a little bit recently simply because I just wanted to be able, like, I prioritize my recovery, but at the same time, like, we don't get sober to just stay in meetings all our life. We get sober to have a purpose. And so, like, my purpose is to be the best version of myself I can be, and in doing that, inspiring others and helping others. Anybody will tell you the biggest hallmark of this program is passing it on to other people, because I can't be a thief. I can't go to meetings and steal the information and then not give it to somebody else.
Right.
You know?
That's where we're on shaky ground.
Yes.
When we become greedy with our recovery, it's shaky ground.
Yeah, and a lot of people will tell you, whatever you put in front of your recovery, you will lose along with your recovery.
Exactly.
Because if I go out and I use, I'm not going to be present for my job. I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. I'll lose my car. I'll lose my housing. You know, I might lose my relationship. You know, so
very quickly.
Yeah.
It happens a lot quicker than
And every time you do it, it happens faster.
So I'm kind of like one of those one and dones, right? I
So is Tyler.
kind of like you, I went to meetings for a while because my family and my wife, like, you have to do this or else. And so I think I was probably drinking and high when I went to every meeting. Anyway, long story short, so I have a question for you. This is something that I find to be true pretty much across the board. And I tell people, because I talk to a lot of people about recovery and their best, I help them find their best path, right? And so I tell them, go home or get in your bunk or whatever that may look like for them, and take a notepad and write 500 things down that you'll do if you stay sober for 5 years. And I guarantee you that you will sell yourself so short, it will be unbelievable. I can say that because it's true in my life. Do you agree with that statement?
Oh,
what did you think about when you first got sober, when you were looking forward?
Absolutely, and I believe in that as well. If I had written down 500 things, it simply would have been, have a part-time job without a degree. Like, not going back to school would not have even been on the list.
Exactly.
And having a car wouldn't have been on the list. Being off government assistance wouldn't be on the list. Like, I had settled for a couple of years after I got out of the homeless shelter I was in, and went into my apartment and just kind of like had this part-time job and was satisfied and content and just okay with it. My fiance is the one that pushed me. He said, our relationship's not going to go anywhere unless you push yourself. Go back to school. You're extremely intelligent. And so I went back to school and I made president's list and dean's list pretty much every semester I went back, because I'm a hard worker. I'm disciplined. And I love academics. So like my list, however, is very, ambitious. I want to go to law school.
Okay.
So I'm preparing to study for the LSAT. I want to become a lawyer, and I want to become a professor.
Excellent.
So I'm working very hard, and there's actually somebody who's inspired me as well. Her name is Jesse, or his name is Jesse. Apologize. He has gone through so much, has gone through law school, watched them go through law school, and it was just, all the stress and the nerves and everything. But then, like, when they received their degree, it was just, and now they're doing the thing that they want to do, and they're loving their life, and it's like, I want to be there. I want to be there.
Exactly. Yeah, it's funny because I agree with you. In the beginning, we can't see what the potential of life is. And I don't think that we're intended to see that in the beginning, because I feel like that our higher power, which you choose to call God, has a plan, whatever, however you want to look at it.
Right.
And like you were saying, you want to go on and do these things and you can actually see it, right? Same with me in my recovery. I would have never dreamed that, I would have never dreamed you'd not be sitting here doing this. Right? And so all the things that have happened in my life, it's like, I am totally amazed at the blessings that I have, and the ability that I have learned through my recovery on how to help others. But like you said, I found my calling. I love to help people.
Yes.
And so I love to hear about your future, and I know that you can do it. I watch people. I'm a people watcher, and you have come a long way. And we gotta do a little shout out to Tyler, because when I met Tyler, he was quiet, very quiet, and it was like, I didn't know really how to take this guy. He's kind of, a little different, a little standoffish, a little different. And then one day I walked out of the dorm and he's sitting there and he's playing his guitar and singing. I thought, oh my God, that guy is good.
He's got an amazing voice.
He is really amazing. So Tyler, I know you're probably watching.
No, he's not. I'm sure he's not. Yeah, but yeah, he's been a big motivator for me in getting, elevating my dreams, and realizing that my dreams are possible. Because before I never would have imagined that I could go into law. Since I was a kid, my mother said I should be a lawyer because I like to argue, and I like to win the arguments. And she would say I have to have the last word, and I'd look at her and just be like, silence, and she's like, never mind, because she had to have the last word. I get it from her.
Sometimes silence is the last word.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. But yeah, so Tyler has been an amazing force in my life. I have gotten where I've gotten because of my hard work and my sweat, but I wouldn't be here without, the people who have motivated me and supported me and been there for me. I mean, he worked while I went to school, and now he's in school and I'm going to work. He's going to be a nurse. He is currently a paramedic, but he stopped doing paramedic things because he hurt his back. So he's now studying to be a nurse. And he wants to go on to be a CRNA, which is a nurse anesthetist, which is like a doctorate level nurse. So we have big dreams, both of us, but we have a plan. It's not like, oh, we're just going to keep switching off. It's, he's got so many years to finish this nursing thing, and then I have time for me to go back to school, to go to law school. Like, we support each other, and we hold each other's hand, and we hold each other accountable. That's the big thing. Like, when I'm being grouchy and crappy and stuff like that, he's like, have you meditated today? And I'm probably like, oh God, I didn't do that today. Because I'm also almost 40, which means I'm probably going through premenopause.
I'll be 40 someday.
Yeah, right? But I'm grouchy a lot. Like, I'm irritable a lot. Like, I think it's the whole hormone thing going on. So that is something that I'm struggling with right now. But because I have a higher power, I'm able to go into my meditations and say, hey, I need help. I need help to chill out. Like, give me some chill.
Yeah.
And I really got more into my spirituality and started studying to be a priestess. And I'm really enjoying it. And the work that I do, the internal work that I do, has changed who I am on the outside. I have a friend who says that the reason I was an addict was because I thought that doing all these things on the outside would fix how I was on the inside. But it's the opposite. You have to deal with what's on the inside before you can fix everything on the outside. And doing the meditation and the priestess path that I'm doing has allowed me to face what we call our shadow side. And that shadow side is the thoughts and the things that we don't bring to the surface. Trauma reactions, stuff like that. And being able to face that and work through it instead of just stuffing it down really changes who you are on the outside. And like you said, I was a happy person. Like, I'm still a happy person, and it's because I'm able to deal with these things. I had said I was in a domestic abuse relationship, and I was with that person for 2 years, and they took 10 years of my life because I was terrified. And it took trauma therapy for me to be able to face that and be like, I can leave the gates of the shelter and not fear that I'm going to run into him, because that's an insane assumption in this huge city. And I don't know if he's alive or dead. So, like, it gripped me so tightly.
When you're in the moment, though, it's real.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
Having suffered complex PTSD myself, the funny thing is, when you're in it, you don't even know it.
No.
You have no clue, right? But
when you do, you do.
Yeah, but when you're in it, it's like it was a very real fear.
Yes, and
it's reality to you.
I ended up on a bus one day looking for my new apartment because I had gotten my assistance, and we went past the street that we used to live on, and I started to shake, and I started to sweat, and I started to almost like taste blood in my mouth. It was terrifying, and then I realized, I was like, no, this is my life, like that was my cathartic moment where I was just like, no, I'm done with this. This is my life. I'm taking my power back. He has no sway over me anymore. And it's the origin story of the strong woman that I've become. In my relationship now, I do a lot of the female things, like the assumed female things, the cooking, but at the same time, like, I support him and take care of him, and he supports me and takes care of me. It's an even give and take. And I think that's what's really important about our relationship.
That is a relationship.
Yeah. And we're not perfect. We have things that we have to work on, both of us, and together and separately. He likes to annoy the hell out of me. And there's days where I'm just like, you are too much. I can't deal with you right now. But I have to work on my irritability. I have to work on how I handle things. not flying off the handle, just taking a minute and breathing and just being like, okay, why am I irritable?
Well, that's all recovery.
Yes, exactly.
That's what we learn in recovery, right?
Yeah, pause when agitated.
Exactly. But the thing is, let's go back just a little bit to the PTSD side, the mental health side.
Yes.
Okay. Because I think that if I hadn't dealt with my mental health, which was come to find out severe, and I didn't even know it because you don't know it at the time,
You
but
don't know it when you're in it.
it took me 3.5 years of almost weekly sessions to deal with all this. But I don't believe that I'd be sober or alive today had I not.
Yes.
And so I try to encourage people to face their fears because
Right.
it's like you said, it's an inside job.
Mhm.
And if you don't fix what's on the inside, you can get sober all day long. That's what I mean when I say I don't necessarily believe in relapse, because I think if you get sober and you don't deal with all these other things on the inside, you're not going to stay sober.
Right.
It's not true
You're
sobriety.
just going to keep trying to fill that void with something.
Something. And if you do the mental health and you don't do the substance, then the substance is going to take you back to the mental health.
Right,
So
exactly.
you almost have to do them both together.
Because the mental health happens because of our pre-existing conditions. The mental health leads to using, and the using leads to more mental health problems because of the things that we do or that happen to us while we are in that state.
Yeah.
So like the people we abuse or the people that abuse us lead to more depression, more stress, more post-traumatic stress syndrome. And if you don't deal with that, so like I had to get on medication, back on medication. I had gone off of it, I was not compliant. And I had to get put back on my medications, take them consistently, and spend about 8 weeks doing intense trauma therapy. And what we did is I wrote out what I thought happened and how I felt about it, and then I wrote the actual facts of the situation, the hard facts of this is, he did this, I did this, he did this, I did this, and compared it and reconciled the two and realized that I was emotionalizing everything that was happening in that situation. And when I was able to take the emotion away from it, I was able to remove that hold, that grip of fear. Because a lot of us, we act based on fear.
Of course.
We live based on fear. And once you're able to figure out that life happens for us, not to us, we take that fear away.
Exactly.
And when we don't live by fear, we live with serenity, we're able to be better people. And when we find that peace, that is when it's time to step up and say, okay, I have this, now I need to give it away to keep it. Because, like I said, I can't be a thief in the program. I can't go to a meeting and learn all these things and not share it with someone else. That would be creepy.
Exactly. And like when I met you, when I say happy and everything, I think it's that peaceful serenity that people in recovery have. And if we were to go in the world, not just a meeting, but I'm talking about in the world in general, because we are watched all the time, whether we know it or not. And there's people that see things that we do. It's like I tell people, if you there's a group called Random Acts of Kindness that I go to once a month, and we talk about things. And they got me in the habit of now I'm in the grocery store and I'll smile and tell people, hey, have a great day. And they just look at me like, oh my God. But the thing is,
What do I do with that?
yeah, exactly. But the thing is, you never know when that one person, is having really, really tough times. Yes.
Yeah.
And that one statement just kind of changes their trajectory a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's how we give it away.
Right.
In places outside of just recovery. It's life in general. Like you said, if we lived in fear in our addiction and our mental health, and you're right, that when we eliminate that fear, because it's not that we're not afraid of anything, it's just we don't live in fear.
Right.
It's not a constant emotion.
Yeah, if we stop that reactionary behavior, instead of knee-jerk reaction to a situation, we pause, we think about it, and we respond to the situation rather than react to it. Because reaction is usually out of fear. Response is out of intentional thought and purpose. And that's what's really, really given me peace and serenity, has been when I'm able to just pause and think about something for a minute. Not getting in that political argument on social media, not deleting that person because I don't agree with them. Like, allowing people to have space to be who they are, because they're allowing me to be my authentic self. I need to allow them to be their authentic self, and not have that anger, and holding on to that anger. That leads us down some real dark hallways, and being able to stop and turn on the light and go, okay, I'm by myself, it's peaceful, I don't need to do any of those crazy things I was thinking of doing in the moment. That pause is extremely important. And if you have to, if you're in an argument with something with someone, and you have to walk away for a second, walk away for a second. Just say, okay, look, I'm not ignoring you, and I'm not stepping away from you because I'm angry. I'm stepping away from you because I don't want to say anything or do anything that I might regret, and that you might regret.
That's one of the funny lessons we learned in recovery. I, like my wife and I, we used to get into some heated debates, especially, she got sober 3 years before I did, so she dealt with a lot of the stuff, right? But like you said, but we were reactionary in our words and our actions and everything that we did. And so if you made me mad, you were going to know you made me mad, and I wasn't going to let you forget about it. And I might go on endlessly about this stupid little subject, right? But today, I think I understand, and my wife understands, and everybody that I deal with pretty much understands. You're right. Sometimes we have to stop ourselves and take a moment. That is something that I think that when we in our addiction or our mental health, we're not capable of doing.
Right, because we're not respecting ourselves, and we're not respecting the person that we're dealing with. I think it's why the Anonymous program has been so successful, has been because we have group conscience, and we don't argue with each other over the politics of the issues. We sit down, we say the Serenity Prayer, and we ask ourselves, how can we make this group the best version of itself? And we're able to do that calmly and peacefully, and everybody understands the respect for one another, and that it's a singleness of purpose, and that purpose is to bring the message to those who are still suffering. And if I can do what you said in the grocery store and just smile at somebody to make their day better, my day has been a success. If I've helped one person not suffer what I have suffered in this program, then my life has not been in vain. If I can help one person, then my life has purpose.
Exactly.
And I've been like that for a long time, because I had cancer when I was younger, and I was able to be a part of the studies. And because of those studies, there are kids today that go through the same cancer I went through, that don't go through the radiation, don't go through the chemotherapy. They just have surgery and have their kidney removed, and they're done. And they don't suffer the long-term effects that like I suffer with today. That has been essential. Like, that was always easy for me to understand in the program, because I have been raised on that you need to, even if you have to be a science experiment, like it helps others in the long term. And that's what's important about the situation. And it's the same thing in recovery. If I have to go through suffering and trials and tribulations in order that another person, I can be like, hey, you might not want to do this, because this is the road that happened to me. This is what I did to make it better. Might help you, might not help you. You might want to try it, you might not want to try it. It's a suggestion, it's not a command. And either that person goes a different path and they do something better, or they go ahead and fall flat on their face, and you're just like, but you don't ever say I told you so.
But you planted the seed.
Yeah.
That's the deal.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to do research and find out ourselves.
Exactly.
It's a problem.
So, I find myself, I think about those things, like I was talking about the grocery store and things like that. And I know me. And it's a little selfish in a way, because not only does it maybe help somebody else, but it makes me feel better. It makes me feel better. So yes, I do it for other people, but I do it just as much for me. The same with our recovery. We give it away for other people, but it's really, it's a bit,
It's a cycle.
Yes.
And then the thing is it's an altruistic cycle, though. We don't expect to receive anything in return.
No,
we just happen to.
Right.
It's just how it happens. You do something good for somebody, you feel good about yourself. It's the way things are. And that's the beautiful thing in this program, is to see other people grow and develop and become amazing, purposeful people because of something you might have said to them once.
Exactly. Well, I think the people that we impact the most will never know about them.
No, oh no,
Never.
no,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
Yeah, that's
I
good. I mean, because, I don't think we'll ever know.
And I've had people who I've run into years later and they're like, you shared something in a meeting and it really stuck with me. And I'm like, oh, okay, have you stayed sober since then? And they're like, no, I kind of went in and out, but I'm doing good now. And it still sticks with me. And I'm like, that's awesome. If you need a ride to a meeting or anything, let me know. I'm an Uber driver, I can do it professionally.
Yeah. It's funny because I too watch people, they'll come up to me and they'll tell me something that I did years ago that really helped them. And I'm like,
I did that.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, what do you think about what happened? Trying to get it out of them a little bit so I can it's not that I don't remember. I don't categorize, I don't catalog, I don't keep track of
Right.
what I do. The day I start, or, I think in recovery, the day we start categorizing or cataloging all the things. Yes, when we start doing that, that's again.
It's no longer altruistic.
No, it's no longer. It's a more.
In order for it to continue to work, it needs to be altruistic.
Exactly.
And it's what makes it beautiful is that there is no expectation of a return.
Nope.
And there is no expectation of seeing an outcome.
Well, there is one expectation. The one expectation is that I'm going to help you, and when you get this recovery, you got to go help somebody else. That's the only. That's the only expectation. Cool. And it's really not even an expectation. It is a suggestion.
It's a hope.
Yeah,
it's a hope.
Yeah, it's a suggestion that hey, if you want to keep what I'm giving you, then.
I never make expectations anymore. I have hopes.
Well,
but I don't have expectations.
Maybe expectations the wrong word.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
Right, exactly. And the thing is when you have expectations of people, they can disappoint you.
Exactly, they will.
And they will disappoint you. But if you have hopes for them, then if they do what they walk the right path, then great. If they don't, you're still there to help them in the hope that they're going to steer in the right direction.
I never say no.
Yeah.
I've had people that have come to me 4, 5, 6 times and they struggle, and it's like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Because you never know what time it's, because I've had people that have come to me many times who are super successful today.
Yeah.
Been sober for a long time, and I get someone, why do you help that person if they did this, and I'm like, no. They didn't do a thing.
Yeah.
Their addiction did.
Their addiction did, right.
Right.
And the thing is my higher power, for instance, speaks to me not just in my meditations and my dreams. My higher power speaks to me through other people. So when I go to a meeting, if I decide I'm going to go to a couple meetings in a week and it's the same damn subject both times, and I'm like, oh, all right, I hear you, I get it. I need to focus on my ego this week, or I need to focus on purpose this week. I need to focus on that. I'm irritable this week. Whatever it is, they read the Jaywalker story a couple times, and I'm just like, okay.
That used to be me.
I get it. I'm walking in the wrong way. Got it. My higher power definitely speaks to me through other people. If I hear it in meetings, if I hear it from a couple different people, I have some very trusted individuals where I'm like, hey, I'm kind of feeling this sort of way. And they're like, well, boom. And it's accountability. Then I'm like, oh, okay. I know where I'm steering wrong, and you need to have those trusted people in your life. Because when you do get further along in sobriety, you start to kind of get complacent, and it's not harder to hold on to your sobriety, it's just harder to hold yourself accountable, because you start going, I'm doing so good. Well, you need to keep your ego in check, and you need those trusted individuals in your circle to be like, hey, you're getting kind of big in your britches there, sweetheart, you might want to slow down. It's like, okay. When was the last time you went to a meeting? When was the last time you talked to a sponsee? When was the last time, you did X, Y, and Z? When was the last time you did something simple for someone else? And that's when I'm like, okay, thank you. I don't ever get mad at somebody for holding me accountable. because that's hard to do, to hold someone accountable that you love.
But it's important.
But it's extremely important, right? And like I said, in my relationship, we hold each other accountable. We will stop each other and say, hey, you know, you've been talking to me this kind of way and it's not okay. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I've been, you know, irritable, or I've had a lot on my mind and I just wasn't thinking, I'm very sorry. You know, like it gives them the opportunity to not just apologize for what's going on, but to steer in the right direction. And it's very important because it keeps things healthy. To communicate. Communicate is definitely the number one thing. Like, don't ever repress how you feel or how you choose to feel about how someone is treating you. Don't ever, ever feel like you can't speak up. You know, and if you feel like you can't speak up,
Something's wrong.
something's wrong. Yeah,
Something's wrong.
something's definitely wrong. There's something toxic there.
Well, so one of the things in my recovery, in my path that I struggled, and I still maybe I struggle a little with it, but I see the more kind of animated, you know, kind of the way I see things. It's a little bit different. So if you could take a razor sharp knife and lay it on its edge and the sharp edge up, right? It's like I'm on this knife, and on each side of this knife, you got ego on one side and pride on the other. And so you're on this sharp knife that'll just slice right through you if you're not careful. So you have to be really careful or you're gonna fall one or the other. And I always worried about ego and pride because I never wanted to become egotistical. I never wanted to be too prideful. And people tell me, oh, well, you should be proud. And I'm like, yeah, where's that at? How do you find that place where I'm proud of what I'm doing, but without being proud?
So, like I said, like you just said, there is the ability to be proud of yourself for your accomplishments without being fully prideful and tipping over to the ego side. Like being able to say, okay, I pulled myself up by my britches and I did this, and you know, like I said before, I couldn't have done it without all the other people in my life, but at the same time, I worked really hard. So I need to be proud of myself, and I need to be, it helps me build that confidence of being a strong woman. And it's really important in this world today, is to be a strong woman and to be able to voice who you are and have a voice. Tipping over to the ego side would be going, oh, well, I'm better than you. When you start saying, like, making things hierarchical of, I got my degree, so I'm better than you. You know, I got this job and I got this promotion, so I'm better than you. Like, when you start categorizing people, that's when you start tipping over into the ego side. But when you're just internally going, okay, I worked really hard to do this, and I'm really proud that I got through this. I mean, my graduation, oh my God, it took me 20 years to get my bachelor's degree. I was proud as hell that day.
Of course.
You know,
of course.
When I walked the stage, I took my degree and I went like this because I was like, wow, I did it. I actually did it.
It's a wow moment.
Yeah, but in the intro, I participated in a project where we got to thank the people that supported us. And I wrote a letter to Tyler, and it was up on the big screen and everything, and I read it to him, and it was me thanking not just him, but also my family members and his family members for supporting me and loving me and helping me through this process. And when you're able to kind of piece that out, you're able to keep yourself from going to the ego side.
Right.
Because you recognize that there are people who helped get you where you are.
It's community.
Yes,
It
exactly.
is community, and if you ever try to, I would think that most people that have ever been successful at anything will tell you that they didn't do it alone.
No, right.
You know, no matter what it is. I'm not talking about just recovery. I'm talking about life in general. I don't think I could ever do what I've done without community behind me, without support of people. And there again, there's people that have impacted my life that I'll never know. You know, at the time when I met you, you didn't know.
No.
You didn't know you were having this impact on me. But that's what we do, right? So we're running out of time.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you to let everybody know, give us a word of wisdom as you depart.
Oh,
Or just,
put me on the spot.
yeah,
Okay. So,
not necessarily a word of wisdom, just advice.
okay. So what I would say is, don't feel like life is happening to you. Feel like life is happening for you. Even when bad things happen, we are learning lessons, which is what we're here to do, is to learn lessons and help others. and in helping others, we're teaching them lessons. And so when those lessons come about, feel that life is happening for you. So if something bad happens, okay, why did life do this for me? What is the lesson? What am I pulling from it? And then in that, you're able to go forward and not wholesale prevent mistakes, but you're able to deal with it when mistakes happen. So when, like say I get in a car accident, okay, why did this happen for me? Not why did the accident happen to me? Why did it happen for me? And usually it sets in motion a domino effect of things that teach you lessons, or you get more blessings out of it. You know, you might get a whole new car. That would be great.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah. So I would say, you know, why do things happen? Ask why does it happen for me,
Okay.
and choose to respond rather than react. Choose to be the bigger person sometimes, even when it hurts like hell. Choose to be the bigger person and choose to be the best version and most authentic version of yourself.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. Do me a favor before you, when you get home, give Tyler a big hug.
I will.
Tell him Todd said hi.
I will.
Tell him to not make himself.
Yeah, when I told him I was doing this, he was like, "Oh, how is he?" I was like, "He's great."
Well, tell him to call me sometime.
I will. I
All
will.
right. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much,
All right.
sweetheart.
You have a great day.
You too.
And so that's the end of this episode for Todd's Pod. It was brought to you this week by Wellness Health Careers. If you need a health job or you need a health employee, go to wellnesshealthcareers.com, and also Opportunity Recovery Group. Thank you very much and have a great day.